We often grow up with a single piece of advice whispered into our ears again and again: work hard and you will succeed. Parents, teachers, society, they all celebrate the individual who sacrifices sleep, who puts in endless hours, who keeps grinding even when the body aches and the spirit breaks. We admire the person who wakes up before sunrise and sleeps long after the world has gone quiet, because somewhere along the way we equated hard work with virtue, and virtue with success. But here is the uncomfortable truth: hard work alone is not a guarantee. If it were, every farmer working 12 hours in the scorching sun would be a billionaire. Every laborer lifting bricks with aching hands would be a millionaire, and every student burning midnight oil without direction would be a top achiever. The world does not reward effort alone, it rewards aligned effort, effort that moves in the right direction. There is a psychological trap hidden in the glorification of hard work. It convinces us that the answer to every failure is simply to do more of the same. Work harder, push harder, stay longer, and in that loop, we begin to measure our worth by exhaustion rather than impact. The person who says, I worked 16 hours today, feels morally superior to the one who says, I worked 6 hours, but I finished everything, but ask yourself, who truly lived? Who truly grew? The myth of hard work thrives because it feeds our need for control. It gives us a simple equation: effort in, success out. But life is not a machine that responds predictably to input. Life is more like a garden. You can water the soil endlessly, but if you plant in the wrong season or neglect to give light, your effort is wasted. The flower does not bloom just because you tried harder. It blooms when you understand its needs and align your effort with nature's laws. Philosophically, hard work is valuable not because of the hours it consumes, but because of the discipline it builds. It teaches us resilience, patience, humility. But if we treat it as the entire formula for success, we fall into what psychologists call the effort justification trap, the belief that because I worked so hard, I must have achieved something. And when the result doesn't show up, we either break down or become bitter, blaming the world for being unfair. The wiser question is not how hard did I work, but did my work move me closer to where I want to be? A man rowing a boat in the wrong direction can row all day long with unshakable dedication, but he will only find himself further away from the shore he intended to reach. Hard work without reflection becomes noise. It is movement without progress. When we begin to see the myth clearly, we also begin to reclaim our energy. Because energy is finite, time is finite, we cannot pour ourselves endlessly into effort that does not transform into growth. The great shift happens the day we stop worshiping effort itself and start honoring effective effort. Work that is not just hard, but also intelligent, strategic, and aligned with our deeper goals. So the next time you hear someone say, work harder, pause for a moment, ask yourself, harder toward what? Harder for whom? Harder to achieve what vision of life? Because without those questions, hard work becomes a treadmill, fast, intense, exhausting, but ultimately going nowhere. The real power lies in knowing that while hard work shapes your character, only the right direction shapes your destiny. And so, the myth of hard work is not that it has no value. It is that we were told it was everything. The truth is simpler, more liberating. Hard work matters, but only when it is guided. Remember, this success is not the reward for how tired you are. It is the reward for how wisely you channel your effort. If hard work alone is not enough, then what is the missing piece? It is what we call smart work. Now, I want to be very clear. Smart work is not laziness dressed up in clever words. It is not about cutting corners, cheating the process, or waiting for luck to save you. Smart work is the art of multiplying your effort through clarity, strategy, and resourcefulness. It is about asking, how can I achieve the greatest impact with the energy I have? Think about this. Two people may both spend 6 hours studying for an exam. One reads passively, highlighting random lines and memorizing without understanding. The other spends the same 6 hours practicing past questions, teaching concepts to others, identifying gaps in knowledge, and focusing on what matters most. Same hours, same effort, but the outcomes are worlds apart. That is the difference between hard work in isolation and smart work in action. Psychologically, smart work taps into something we often overlook: our ability to pause, reflect, and redirect. The human brain is not a machine built only for repetition. It is designed for creativity, for pattern recognition, for problem solving. When we stop working blindly and instead step back to ask, is this the best use of my time? We activate higher forms of intelligence. That small pause can save years of unnecessary struggle. Philosophically, smart work is humility in motion. It is the recognition that we do not always need to reinvent the wheel. Why suffer through mistakes others have already made when we can learn from their stories, their failures, their innovations? Smart work acknowledges that wisdom is collective, and progress is faster when we stand on the shoulders of those who came before us. But here's the challenge: smart work demands courage. It requires us to challenge old patterns, to step away from the comfort of routine. Hard work feels safe because it's familiar. We know how to work longer hours. We know how to grind. But smart work asks us to take risks, to think differently, to use tools and technologies that perhaps intimidate us at first. It asks us to question whether the ladder we are climbing is even leaning against the right wall, and this is where many people get stuck. They confuse movement with progress. They confuse sweat with substance. But the truth is, efficiency is not an enemy of discipline. Using your time wisely does not make you less hardworking. It makes you more purposeful. Smart work is not a rejection of hard work. It is the refinement of it. Look at the people we admire most, the ones who changed the course of history. They were not the ones who simply worked the longest hours. They were the ones who dared to think differently about the hours they had. Thomas Edison didn't invent the light bulb by burning himself out on endless trial and error. He experimented intelligently, learning from every failure until he found success. Modern entrepreneurs don't simply outwork their competitors by staying up later. They design systems, automate processes, and build networks that extend their reach far beyond individual capacity. So when we talk about the power of smart work, what we are really talking about is alignment. Aligning your goals with your actions, your energy with your priorities, your effort with the results you actually want. Smart work allows you to reclaim your life from meaningless busyness and reinvest it into meaningful progress. And if there's one message I want you to carry from this idea, it is this: success is not about how much you do, but about how much of what you do actually matters. The hours will pass either way. The energy will be spent either way. The days of your life will move forward whether you are strategic or not. The choice is yours. Will you simply keep moving, or will you move with purpose? Because in the end, it is not the amount of work you put in that transforms your destiny, but the wisdom with which you direct it. We've spoken about the myth of hard work, and we've uncovered the truth of smart work, but the real beauty of life does not lie in choosing one over the other. It lies in balance. Hard work gives us discipline. Smart work gives us direction. Together, they create growth that is not only measurable, but also sustainable. Too often, people fall into extremes. Some grind endlessly, convinced that sheer persistence will carve a path. Others try to rely only on strategy, constantly planning, constantly analyzing, but never willing to put in the hours required to bring that vision to life. Both approaches are incomplete. Hard work without strategy is like running on a treadmill, plenty of sweat, no forward motion. Strategy without hard work is like drawing a beautiful map, but never taking a single step on the road. True transformation requires both the discipline to stay consistent and the wisdom to stay aligned. Psychologically, this balance represents the union of two different energies within us. Hard work emerges from grit, resilience, and willpower. Smart work emerges from reflection, intelligence, and adaptability. When we allow these forces to complement each other, we begin to live in harmony with ourselves. We are no longer torn between effort and efficiency, between pushing forward and pausing to think. Instead, we embody a rhythm where one strengthens the other. Think of it this way: if life is a journey, then hard work is the engine that powers the vehicle, while smart work is the compass that ensures you are heading in the right direction. Without the engine, you cannot move. Without the compass, you will get lost. But when both come together, you not only travel, you arrive. Philosophically, this balance invites us to redefine what it means to grow. Growth is not simply about how much you achieve, nor is it about how cleverly you achieve it. Growth is about depth. It is about becoming a person who is both disciplined enough to do the work and wise enough to know where to channel that discipline. Growth is the marriage of strength and clarity, of persistence and perspective. The danger of imbalance is visible everywhere. Burnout is the consequence of relying only on hard work. Stagnation is the consequence of relying only on smart work. But balance gives us sustainability. When you work with both effort and strategy, you don't just reach your goals. You preserve your energy, your mental health, and your joy along the way. Because what use is success if you are too exhausted to enjoy it, or too detached to appreciate it? This is where maturity comes in, to recognize that life is not a competition of who works harder or who thinks smarter, but who can unite both in a way that honors their purpose. The world does not need more people who can just grind endlessly, nor does it need more people who can only plan but never execute. What the world needs are individuals who can act with both conviction and clarity, and that is where your life changes. The day you stop seeing hard work and smart work as rivals, and instead see them as partners, you create a rhythm that is unshakable. You no longer feel guilty for working hard, nor do you feel ashamed for working smart. You understand that each has its place, and together they multiply your growth in ways you could never have imagined. So the question is no longer, should I work hard or should I work smart? The real question is, how can I merge both so that my effort is not wasted and my strategy is not empty? Because the truth is simple: hard work builds the road, smart work shows you where the road leads, but that balance takes you to the destination your soul was always meant to reach. When we think about hard work and smart work, there is one element that connects them both, one thread that runs quietly through every decision we make. That element is time. Time is the currency of life. Unlike money, once it is spent, it cannot be earned back. Unlike opportunities, once it passes, it does not return. Every hour we use is a transaction, an exchange, our limited existence traded for something we hope is meaningful. Hard work consumes time, smart work invests it. This is why the difference matters so much. Because at the end of the day, success is not just about achievement. It is about how wisely you have spent the hours that make up your life. You see, life is not measured in years. It is measured in moments, in days, in choices. And how we choose to spend our time reveals what we truly value. Psychologically, many of us fall into the illusion of abundance. We believe we have time. We say, "I'll do it tomorrow. I'll fix it later. I'll start when I'm ready. But the truth is, none of us know how much time we are given, and the tragedy is not that life is short. It is that we waste so much of it on things that don't matter. Endless scrolling, pointless arguments, work that keeps us busy but does not bring us closer to our goals. If time is the most valuable currency, then busyness is the counterfeit version of productivity. Smart work teaches us the discipline of prioritization. It forces us to ask, is this the best use of my time? Hard work may keep us moving, but without prioritization, we may be moving in circles. This is why some people work tirelessly for years and still feel empty, while others with fewer hours create impact that lasts generations. The difference is not effort. It is awareness of how time is being used. Philosophically, time also tests our relationship with purpose. Every minute spent without alignment to who we want to become is a minute stolen from our potential. The ancient Stoics often said, "You act like mortals in all that you fear, and like immortals in all that you desire." We fear death, but we live as though our time is infinite. Smart work shakes us awake from that illusion. It reminds us that if we do not guard our time, the world will gladly waste it for us. Think about it. The most successful people are not the ones who had the most hours in a day. They are the ones who respected the hours they had. They knew how to focus, how to say no, how to delegate, how to design systems that multiplied their time instead of draining it. They were not just disciplined with effort, they were disciplined with life itself, and this brings us to the heart of the matter. How you spend your time is how you spend your life. If you devote it only to survival, you may live, but you will not thrive. If you give it away too freely, you may please others, but you will lose yourself. And if you scatter it without intention, you may feel busy, but you will never feel fulfilled. Time is too precious to be wasted on directions that lead nowhere. So when we talk about balancing hard work with smart work, it is really about learning to honor time. Because no matter how hardworking or how strategic you are, if you squander the hours of your life, you will always feel empty at the end. The balance is meaningless without respect for time, and perhaps that is the most life-changing difference of all, to live as though your hours matter. Because they do, every single one, so remember this, you cannot control how much time you are given, but you can control how you spend it. Spend it on what builds you, on what lifts others, on what brings you closer to who you are meant to be. Because in the end, time is not just the currency of life, it is life itself. So far, we've talked about effort, about strategy, and about time, but there is another dimension to work that is often ignored, our inner world. Because no matter how hard you work, no matter how smartly you plan, if you are not aware of yourself, if you cannot manage your emotions, your journey will feel heavy and disconnected. Emotional intelligence and self-awareness are not luxuries. They are the foundation of meaningful success. Hard work without self-awareness can easily turn into self-destruction. Smart work without emotional intelligence can easily become manipulation or selfishness. But when you pair discipline and strategy with the ability to understand yourself and others, you create impact that is both effective and compassionate. That is where true fulfillment lies. Psychologically, emotional intelligence is the ability to recognize your own feelings and the feelings of those around you. It means pausing when anger rises instead of reacting blindly. It means noticing when fear is disguising itself as procrastination. It means understanding that sometimes what looks like laziness in someone else is actually exhaustion, or pain, or lack of hope. Emotional intelligence does not just make us better workers, it makes us better human beings. Self-awareness, on the other hand, is like holding a mirror to your own soul. It's the courage to ask, asterisk, why am I doing this? What truly drives me? Am I chasing this goal because it matters to me, or because I want to impress the world? Asterisk, without these questions, success can feel hollow. You may reach the top of the ladder, only to discover that it was leaning against the wrong wall. Philosophically, self-awareness forces us to confront the difference between achievement and alignment. Achievement is what the world sees. Alignment is what your heart feels. You can be celebrated by others and still feel empty inside if your achievements are not connected to your authentic self. But when you work in alignment with who you are, even small victories feel powerful. This is why emotional intelligence and self-awareness are inseparable from smart work. Smart work is not only about systems and tools, it is about people, and the first person you must understand is yourself. If you don't know your strengths, you cannot maximize them. If you don't know your weaknesses, you cannot manage them. If you don't know your values, you cannot protect them. Self-awareness turns work from a mechanical process into a meaningful journey. And then there is the way emotional intelligence shapes relationships, because no one succeeds alone. We work in teams, we collaborate, we lead, we follow. The ability to inspire, to listen, to adapt, to show empathy, these are not soft skills, as people often call them. These are essential skills. They determine whether people trust you, whether they are willing to walk with you, whether your leadership creates loyalty or resistance. The truth is, many people fail not because they lacked hard work, not because they lacked intelligence, but because they lacked self-awareness. They did not see how their words hurt others. They did not notice how their pride closed doors. They did not realize how their fear of failure kept them trapped in comfort. Emotional blindness costs more opportunities than lack of skill ever could. So when you think about building a life of growth, do not only ask, asterisk, am I working hard enough? Am I working smart enough? Am I spending my time wisely? Asterisk, also ask, asterisk, am I aware of myself? Am I managing my emotions? Am I showing up in a way that honors not only my goals, but also the humanity of others? Asterisk, because success is not only about reaching a destination, it is about the kind of person you become along the way. And the kind of person who grows with emotional intelligence and self-awareness becomes not only successful, but significant. And that is the difference the world will remember. After everything, we've explored the myth of hard work, the wisdom of smart work, the balance between both, the value of time, and the power of self-awareness. There remains one final truth we cannot ignore, and that is how we define success itself. Because if your definition of success is unclear, then no amount of work, no strategy, no emotional intelligence will ever feel enough. Success without clarity becomes a moving target, always shifting, always out of reach. For so long, society has equated success with accumulation. More money, more titles, more recognition, more possessions. We are told to chase the bigger a life, and many people do. They work endlessly, they plan strategically, they use their time wisely. But in the end, they find themselves asking, why does this still feel empty? And the answer is simple. Success was never meant to be measured by volume. It was meant to be measured by meaning. Psychologically, redefining success means moving away from external validation and toward internal fulfillment. It means asking not, what will they think of me if I achieve this? But rather, who will I become if I pursue this? The first question ties your life to the expectations of others. The second anchors your journey in authenticity. When success is defined by alignment with your values, even small steps feel rewarding because they are yours. Philosophically, Success in modern life must also include balance. What good is wealth if it costs you your health? What good is recognition if it destroys your peace of mind? What good is achievement if you are too exhausted to enjoy it? True success is not a life where you constantly prove yourself to others. It is a life where you live in harmony with yourself. It is not about being busy. It is about being effective. It is not about being seen. It is about being whole. This is why the distinction between hard work and smart work matters so deeply. Hard work alone may give you results that the world applauds, but smart work ensures those results align with who you are. And when you merge both, you create a life that is not only successful on paper, but also fulfilling in reality. Because the greatest tragedy is not failure, it is climbing to the top of a ladder that was leaning against the wrong wall. Redefining success also asks us to consider contribution. In the modern world, the most powerful legacy is not how much you earned, but how much you gave. Not how many titles you collected, but how many lives you touched. Success is not measured by applause in the moment. It is measured by impact that lasts beyond your lifetime. So, as you think about your own path, I invite you to let go of society's rigid definition of success. Create your own. Define it in a way that includes joy, meaning, relationships, growth, contribution, and peace. Because the truth is, no one else will live your life but you, and no one else will carry the weight of regret if you spend it chasing the wrong dream. In the end, success is not about how much you did. It is about how much of what you did truly mattered. So, live wisely, live fully, live with purpose, because a successful life is not the one that looks impressive from the outside. It is the one that feels authentic on the inside, and that, more than anything else, is the life-changing difference.